Okay, great. I'm so happy everybody's here. We have about 77 people joining us today. So we're very excited to go over the 1711 What's New upgrade with you. And I will be recording this session and posting it on our website by the end of the week. I encourage everybody, if you aren't able to, if a staff member is not able to attend, that you can certainly watch this webinar after the fact. And I know a lot of people do that. So we will record this. I will be adding any information that is asked or answered here in this session. Also on that Bywater website, which I have sharing on my screen. So on the screen, I have this Bywater upgrade training note website, which is where you will go to find any other maybe upgrade webinars that you wanted to sign up for. I'm going to put that in the chat as well. This is a great time to go ahead and register for any of these upgrade webinars. We have 2 on each module coming up in the next 2 weeks. And we'd be happy to, we're going to record all those as well. And again, like we have in the past, this first upgrade webinar will be a kind of an overview of everything that's coming, or a highlight of things that are coming. And then starting tomorrow, we will break our webinars up into modules. So we're going to start with that OPAC public user upgrade webinar. Then we're going to do our circulation. We'll continue on doing technical services, and then administration and reports. And again, but all these upgrade webinars will have 2 sessions. We tried to, again, put them in different days and different times of the day, hoping we could accommodate the most people that we possibly could. But this is a great website to come to as we continue through this upgrade webinar session and find lots of information that comes up with these webinars, because we've got lots of great partners that ask us really good questions, and I want to share that information with everybody. We do have some blog posts that will be going up, more like snapshot blog posts at this point, with some YouTube videos as we go through specifically new enhancements that maybe are have too many steps to really get into the guts of right away. And we also want to have that literature available for all the partners that can't do these webinar sessions. So again, here is our Bywater website page that has all the webinars scheduled, and we will start with the 1711 upgrades starting in early June, and this will continue throughout the month. All upgrades will start after 8 o'clock your local time, and we will populate your staff clients with the update date in the week prior, as you saw that big red box that shows up on your staff client to make sure you know when to log in that next morning, and remember to clear your cache, which is something we really want everyone to remember to do as you get upgraded. So great. Can everybody hear me? I'm assuming so. Just a few things I want to remind you is we do have a chat box, and Georgette, can you hear me? We do have a chat box, and great. Somebody was testing their sound. And the chat box is probably the hardest, because everyone can't see the questions you're asking if you put it in the chat. You do have a Q&A box that you can ask a question. I have Donna, one of the other educators, with me today that will be happy to either answer your question via typing, or she'll stop me at a great time and I'll certainly try to answer your question. And I have a few hands that are raised. If you could go ahead, and we don't have volume on webinars, so for anyone who's raising their hands, maybe you're saying hi, but if you have a question, certainly go ahead and type it in that Q&A box, which is what we have, and we can answer any questions you have. Georgette, you can't seem to hear me? You can certainly call in to the number instead of through your computer. Do you know how to do that, Georgette? Okay. Well, I can't hear back from her, but if you need to, that the call-in information was on your registration form when you registered for this webinar. I know George, but she's actually typing as well. So I'm thinking that maybe she's hearing me subconsciously, or I don't know. Donna, do you mind chatting back with her in the panel? Okay, so you can hear me through headphones. Perfect. Happy to hear that. Thanks everybody for your help. Okay, without further ado, I'm happy to jump right in to some new highlights with the 1711 upgrade. I am actually going to start this webinar in the OPAC, and you can see that I have just a basic OPAC that is here available to everyone, open. One of the best features that I'm really excited about, and it seems really small, but I think it's great for your patrons, is once I log into my account, when any patron logs into their account, they go to their summary page. But if you are on the main page of the Koha screen once you logged in, you now have this little box over here on the right that gives you a little welcome, and then it tells you summary. It tells you how many checkouts, how many holds, if you owe any fines and charges. So this is new snapshot is now available, will now be available on the OPAC once you go to the 1711, and there is a system preference that is involved in this, and it's called OPAC User Summary. So you would need to turn on this enhancement through that system preference called OPAC User Summary. But I think that it's a great new enhancement to kind of give your patron a snapshot of what they have checked out. Okay. Now, another new, probably small feature that a lot of libraries that are not a single branch, it's not really noticeable to you, but if anyone is using the news feature on the OPAC, you always see this RSS feed, and it would say RSS feed for the branch, and then it says system-wide library news. There was a bug that was submitted that asked for if a single branch had a news feed option, that system-wide library news would just say South Branch Library News versus system-wide, because they are a single branch. I can't actually show you that at this point because the test site that I have is actually a multi-branch system. So, but it's good for those small libraries, and you'll notice when you get the 1711 upgrade. Okay, I'm going to log back out because I wanted to show you something else. Now, if there are libraries that are using the forgot your password link on the OPAC, and this is a system preference that might have come in the 1605, 1611 update, that you could set the system preference OPAC reset password to allow your patrons to reset their password via the OPAC. Now, there has been a small change to this. Instead of it saying login, instead of it saying card number, it now says login. So I think the terminology, we're trying to conform to what the best ability for everyone to understand what it's being said. So this now says login, but patrons can use their library card number in addition to username. So this is multi-purposed with that system preference OPAC reset password. Just some terminology changes, which I think is really great. Another added feature to the password reset, again, that's your system preference OPAC reset password, if a library had was a multi-branch system and the reset password was triggered, it would email a patron. However, when that patron would receive an email, they would receive an email from the Koha admin email address, which sometimes is not an email address they're familiar with. Instead, this new change in Koha will now email the patron from their actual home branch email, which is set up in the libraries and groups. So I will demonstrate the fact that in the Koha administration, so now I'm over on the staff side, you can set up email addresses within your library and groups. If you set up an email address here, then notices will come from that email. If there is not an email set up here, then it would come from that system preference Koha admin email address. And this was causing confusion because it was probably an email address they weren't familiar with, and they might not have realized that it was their password recovery email. So now we do get that email from our home branch. So again, something really simple but really great. So we all get so many emails, it's probably easier to know what email they're coming from. Okay, I'm going to log back in to my account, and there is an ability within Koha to charge a rental charge to a specific item type. Now that rental charge does get charged to the patron's account when they check it out. It also gets charged to their patron account when they renew. Now on the OPAC, we now have the ability to see when something that has that rental charge fee associated with, it kind of tells you in your checkout summary. So when you go to renew, you're aware that there is a rental fee. So now this enhancement allows for patrons to be well aware of something they're renewing, and that charge will be applied. So if I go ahead and I can see this is my renew button, it says that I have rental fees associated with that, and I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, I'm going to renew the selected item. And now I have my fines went up $2 more. So that is something that has been added. Great communication for Koha to let patrons know. Okay. There is a question, Donna. If you could look at that, that'd be great. But somebody's trying to get onto a certain website. I'm so excited about this new feature, and I think it's probably really small in comparison to the other items that we have had in the past. But prior to the 1711 release, the shelving location was always displayed in maybe underneath your current location or your home library. And that is set up through a system preference called, wait for this is a long one, OPAC location branch to display shelving. Now, that system preference, OPAC location branch to display shelving, has now changed to OPAC location on detail. This is now allowing you to, on detail, prior to the 1711 release, you had the ability to choose where to display the shelving location, whether that was below the holding library, below the home library, or below both. You never had the opportunity to separate shelving location into its own column, but now you can. So this system preference, OPAC location on detail, now has a new option on a separate column. So if you wanted to separate your shelving location from the home or holding library, you can now do this through this system preference. Once I click display the shelving location on a separate column, it does note in the system preference that if you select this, you would need to enable this in the configure columns. which is another new enhancement with the 1711. I know, yay! Somebody got really excited. Thanks. I know we're so excited too. The first time you do this, you will need to configure your columns in the administration page. This is a new system. This is a new enhancement too, that there is a config column for the OPAC. So I'm going to go over to my administration and I'm going to go over to my config columns. We had another partner say, so glad to see the columns getting some love. I know, it's great. So now I have this column setting for OPAC. And, oh, I guess I didn't save it. This will be checked. Item shelving location will be checked originally. You will need to uncheck it so it's not hidden by default. And then once you do that, with that system preference, you now will be able to see your shelving location on the OPAC. So let me go ahead and refresh my screen. Look at that. Shelving location is there. Yay! It's so exciting. Okay, getting this on your page. Christine, I see your question. I will, I can't see your whole question, but it looks like you're having a problem on our Bywater website. But I can't see the rest of your question. So if you could retype it again or tell me what you're seeing, and I can let my system administrator know. Okay, thanks, Christine. I'm really sorry. Yes, I will go back to that. You got it. Okay. Now here I am in the OPAC column admin page. Yep. And with this column configuration added with the barcode, there has been a system preference that has been deleted. It's not usual that system preferences are deleted. We usually just add more system preferences, but the system preference OPAC show barcode has now changed or been deleted because now you can do it through these column configurations. Okay, I'm gonna put the link again in here. Let me refresh it, make sure it's all okay. Christine, I put it back in the chat and see if that works. Yes, I know, it's so exciting. Get rid of the jQuery. You need it to hide or change around. Exactly. Okay, I know that's really exciting. Okay, let me go back to my columns. It seems so small, I think, but it's really big to a lot of people that it makes people happy. I'm so excited. Okay, so that was two actually features to add those columns to the staff client in administration, and then also to separate the shelving location, woohoo, in the OPAC. So now we have it separated. So it's really great. Okay, my next feature is the ability to add quantity to purchase suggestions. I'm not sure really if this is something that a lot of libraries will use, but if you do allow purchase suggestions on the OPAC, your patrons can now add a quantity to that purchase suggestion. So I'm going to go to purchase suggestion and show you that there is a new field for quantity as I add a new purchase suggestion. I have this quantity field right now, so I can say, let's order 10 of these. Upcoming title. Any red fields are mandatory, and I'm not quite sure why our notes field is. I'll put book club. So once your patron goes ahead and uses the purchase suggestion, if that is something that you are allowing on your OPAC, Once you go over to your staff client and you see your purchase suggestions down here at the bottom, you are actually going to see the quantity set up once you click it. So it doesn't show up on this main screen because it's more associated with the acquisition process. So once I click the suggested title, I'm actually going to see that quantity set up in the acquisition information portion of the purchase suggestion on the staff client. So something really fun to have. I had a question from a partner. Will we need to know request that jQuery be removed if it is currently in our OPAC, or is that something that will happen in the update? It will not happen in the update. So what I would suggest, probably the best thing to do, Leslie, is to I'm going to say my first suggestion would be to submit a ticket when that comes. Or you could, because it's a little far off now to open a ticket, but it is something that I'm not sure if we would know all the sites that had jQuery for the OPAC, so I would certainly probably submit a ticket. I had another question about purchase suggestion. I had a question about purchase suggestion. Is there a way to customize the fields that show in the purchase suggestion? At this point, I don't know if there's a way. There isn't a current system preference that would allow you to pick and choose your purchase suggestions. It may be something we would probably need to hide for you, Micah, if you wanted us to. But yeah, I believe that is a bug, and I can certainly find out the bug on the ability to kind of cater the purchase suggestion to what you're looking for. But I can certainly make a note of that and get back to you. Okay, Micah? Yeah, you can certainly customize the fields using jQuery, is what George is saying. There certainly isn't a system preference. I know there's a bug currently out there, but we would probably need to hide that with jQuery for now, Micah. Great questions. Thank you. Okay. Okay. My next. Okay. I'm not sure a lot of people use this one either, but there is an ask for discharge on the OPAC. That's a system preference called use discharge. And if your library had set it up in the system preference to allow patrons to ask for a discharge through the OPAC, they would actually have a new little column over here, little tab that says ask for a discharge. Prior to the 1711 release, the patron would get a very odd message, and it would be unclear whether they had successfully asked for a discharge or not. So now this is something that now the patron can ask for a discharge, and they can feel successful when it's done because there's not a very odd message that appears. Okay, so we also had some wording. Oh, what is a discharge? I know. There are libraries out there or people that need a kind of a clean bill that they've been discharged from a library. So a library can officially discharge them on good standing when they leave a library. So I don't know who would ask for a discharge, who needs discharge papers, but it is something that some libraries use that would allow the patron to say, I need to leave the library. Oh, and they get a kind of a clean bill, like you're all clear and you don't owe anything. And I have another partner saying that graduating students use this, so academics could use this to clear their account for graduation. Yep, thank you. Thanks, guys. I'm such a public librarian at heart, so it's it's harder for me to think academically in those ways. But yes, that's another great reason for academics to use that. Thanks, guys. Love the teamwork. Okay, let me go to this page. Okay. So if you are using Koha's self-checkout, there has been another kind of wording that has changed. So here I am, I'm on Koha's self-checkout screen, and instead of the barcode language being used, it says, please enter your card number. So the language has just changed. This ties in with the system preference for self-checkout by login. The options for self-checkout by login have not changed, so I'm going to go over to there now. You still have two options when you're setting up or possibly changing that self-checkout. So prior to 1711, this said barcode. So now you could choose the value of card number or username and password. Okay. Perfect. Now, I'm not sure if there's anybody here. There's a lot of you. Oh, I just looked, there's 99 people, 99 partners here. So that's really awesome. There is some new enhancements with the Google Authentication within Koha, and Google Authentication, I believe, came in 1605. There's been some new system preferences added to the Google Authentication. So I can't show Google Authentication on my OPAC because we don't have a Google account set up, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'll just start with Google. I'm going to show you a few more system preferences that have been set up, and this may really be exciting for some libraries. I hope it is. But there is these 3 new system preferences called Google Open ID Connect Auto Register, and then 2 more. Now, this enhancement will look at the patron's email address that is trying to log into the OPAC, and to get it authenticated by Google, but it's not registered as the patron's primary address. It will allow your patron to be registered to allow them to have login access. So my thought behind this was, if maybe there was a school that didn't automatically import students into their into Koha, but the students had that Google address, and so once they tried to log into the OPAC for that first time, they could automatically register. So now this first one would allow or not allow users to log in with a Google Open ID. And then the other 2 would say, okay, if you are allowing your users to log in this way, or I'm sorry, if you are allowing your users to auto-register, what branch code would you like to use, and what category code would you like them to be registered as? So all 3 of those are just enhancing that Google Authentication a little bit more freely, because they already have that Google email set up, and so that would allow that to happen easier. Yes, so this would allow them to be able to, in essence, auto-register, correct. Perfect. Okay, so I've wrapped up on the OPAC side, and I'm going to jump over to back to the staff client. We've hit most of these on the OPAC setup. So now I'm going to go to probably one of my favorite enhancements on this one, and that is a new tab on the patron checkout screen and detail screen called, I'm going to wait for it to show up, Hold History. Oh, this is so exciting. Now there is an ability to see the history of your patrons' holds through this tab. So you can actually see the status of a hold, whether that was fulfilled, it's waiting, it's been canceled, it's in transit. This is so awesome. Now, I do want to say that if your library does not allow staff to see circulation history set through the system preference, intranet reading history, they will not be able to see this hold history tab either. So those are all tied in. Yes, it does include if the pickup time has lapsed. And I got a yay, hold history. I got a hallelujah. I love this feature. This is awesome. Yay, guys. I'm so excited. I'm so excited too. So yes, you can actually, holds don't fall off on my test site, but yes, you will be able to see the status. So in my prior years in a public library, I would have to go into their notices and see when we sent a notice and what the item was, because you have so many of those patrons who say, I had a hold, I don't remember the hold. Can you tell me what I used to have on hold and I didn't come and pick it up? I'm not sure, George. I had a question. Thank you, George. This is a good question. If a patron wishes that the hold history not be retained, can it be anonymized like reading history? I am not sure. I will have to find out for you. Another question. What is the system preference that lets staff see patrons' history? And that is intranet reading history. So so it has, the verbiage has changed on that system preference to see checkout and hold history. So if you chose don't allow, then both that circulation history tab and that hold history tab would not show up. And I'm writing that down, George, and I'll find out for you. Well, any of these questions that we need to research and find out, I will post on the same website for everyone to see as well. You're absolutely welcome. Darn. So I'm assuming, Christine, you don't see intranet reading history, so you can't see hold history. I'm sorry. It is exciting for those who can see the intranet reading history. Another feature, and I believe it's just as popular, maybe, is if you use titles within your library prior to the 1711 release, titles could only be seen in the detail page. Now, if a patron has a title attached to their account, whether that is Mr., Mrs., Miss, you could always add more salutations if you wanted. That will show up in both the checkout screen as well as the OPAC. So I would actually now be referred to as Mrs. or Miss Kelly M. Oops, I gotta log back in. Miss Kelly M on the OPAC. So there you go. So that's something small. Another feature that's probably a lot of libraries are probably looking forward to, but it's quite complex, is there's a new system preference called require strong password. Now this actually, we have to think about all the places that there are passwords within Koha. So this new system preference that you can require or don't require a strong password for, and this applies to both staff and patrons. So you can, once you require a strong password, this password must have one digit one lowercase and one uppercase when a password is set. Now, going forward, if you decide to require a strong password, this will not change any of the passwords you have set up for your staff or patrons currently. This will be only going forward. However, if somebody goes to reset their password, they would then need to comply to this strong password system preference if you've turned this on. The default, oh good, lots of questions, I knew it. The default on require strong password will be don't require. That will be the default once you go to 1711. I had another question. How long must the password be? The password length is set up through another system preference, and it is called min pass, or I'm just going to put password and see what I get. Min password length is the place where you go ahead and set up how long your password length is. I got a request to find out my blue background. Georgette, I can certainly, this is all CSS, I want to say, on the intranet user CSS system preference, and I can certainly send you the code. I think it's on the Koha wiki as well, so I can send you the link if you stick around for a minute, okay? I know it's fun. Thanks. She says it's so clean and fresh looking. Okay, so a couple questions. Require strong password will not be turned on when you go live. You can set up your minimum password length in another system preference, so that doesn't need to change. You can certainly do it together, or you could keep your minimum and just turn on that required staff password. So once I turn this on, I'm going to show you that there are some definite differences when you go ahead and maybe register a patron, or you need to change a patron's password. So if I go ahead and create a new adult patron, okay, just skipping to all the red. Okay, so I can see that my minimum password length is 3. That's always been there. There is no telling me that there's required strong password is, as soon as I start to type, I just typed one letter, it then populates in red telling me the password must contain 3 characters, which is that other system preference, and then the uppercase, lowercase, and numbers. So this will tell you both on the OPAC, when you create a new patron, as well as if you go ahead and change a password of a patron. Let me go into another patron. I don't want to change my password. Okay. As soon as I start typing in a password, it will tell me the password must contain 3 characters, uppercase, lowercase, and numbers. This click here to fill a randomly suggested password will apply to those rules of requiring a strong password. So this was on the staff side as well as on the patron side. If you allow your patrons to reset their password or change their password, that also will pop up to let them know that they need to use a lowercase, uppercase, and a digit as soon as they start typing. So again, remember, this has to do with both staff and patrons on that require strong password. Okay. We're doing good? No questions? Good, good. Okay. My next little feature is there is now the ability to capture membership renewal date for reporting purposes within Koha. Prior to this 1711 release, you could actually see the membership renewal date in the borrower's log. However, this is not as easily obtained for Koha users. Is also in, I believe, the action logs. But now the membership renewal date can be found in Koha through the, there's a new line in the schema in the borrower's log called date renewed. So I just created a small report to show you this feature, which I think is great because it's great to see the varying membership renewal date to the actual registration date, and a lot of libraries need to see both of those. So let me see where I put that. Yes, we could use the filters. Okay, so here I have this, and I'm going to show you my SQL, and it's so simple. I have that from the borrower's table, we're going to get that date renewed, and that's that new line in the borrower's table under date renewed. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. This little report just has a date range, so I don't have to grab everything. And again, my site is not that, doesn't have a lot of borrowers. So now I can see both the date they enrolled and then the date they renewed. So this is just a nice reporting feature that's been added that's helping those libraries find out that information. Wow, oh yay, this is awesome. Peggy says that, maybe everyone can see this, I never know. Peggy says that my bookkeeper loves you. Now she can figure out how many non-residents renewed each month. I know, this is exciting. Oh, good. And I got, this is awesome. Okay, there is a system preference called item barcode fallback search. I don't know if a lot of people use it or even know about it. We've talked about this in another probably 1611 when it came out. They have increased the ability or functionality of this. So if you allow or enable the use of a keyword catalog search when you're checking out to a patron, there is a couple new features that are involved. So let me go ahead and I'm going to go to my checkout screen. So it is enabled, you can see. If I start typing in to, instead of using a barcode, if I start typing in and just hit enter, so maybe that's the title of my book. Sorry, that's really loud. I actually get the barcode wasn't found, and then I get items that were found by searching. I'm going to hit cancel right here because I want to show you the box that was here first. Now, as always, if you do enter a barcode, whether it's a barcode or if this system preference is enabled and you start to type a title, you should get barcode not found because there is that ability to go ahead and add the record using fast cataloging. So that option is still there. So I could always go to the add record using fast cataloging, or I could say, show me those matching titles. If I do that, then I can go ahead and see any of the items that could possibly fit the title search that I created. I really don't know if I like this title, 10 Stupid Things Women Do to Mess Up Their Lives. But once I go ahead and pick one of the items, I could see the item, or I could go ahead and hit checkout. Once I hit checkout, it will then populate into my patrons checkout screen. And there we go. Now, I do want to say that I know there are libraries out there that maybe don't use barcodes, and this is a good workaround for the libraries that don't use barcodes. However, this feature does not work on the check-in process. So to check in something that may not have a barcode, you would need to go ahead and use that check-in feature over here on the right. However, I would like to say that if you do that, holds do not populate that way. So this feature is very useful, but just in that checkout screen. Okay. Now, this is another good one. So I actually didn't know this wasn't a thing until I read that it was now going to be a thing in 1711. If an item has been, oh, sorry, Amy. Amy, that system preference is called item barcode fallback search, is what that system preference is called. If a patron wanted to put an item on hold, however, it was damaged prior to 1711, that would not show up in the hold screen. Now, if you go to place a hold on an item and it's damaged, it will actually tell you in the staff side, which I actually didn't know it didn't do, but now that I know it didn't, this is great. So if I go ahead and search an item in the catalog and say, yep, this is the hold that I wanted to place a hold for, if I go ahead and click that, I can actually see now in this hold screen that it is damaged. And I probably wouldn't want to put it on hold. Okay. My goodness, time's going so fast. I'm going to jump into a few cataloging features with the 1711. I know you all are waiting for these. These are the good ones. There is a new ability to add the mark field 776 to the OPAC and the staff display. Now, the 776 is a mark field for additional formats. And we've actually had a couple tickets in regards to this. So this is awesome that everyone's on that same track. So the 776 mark fields may or may not be set up in your default framework right away. So you may want to go ahead and make that viewable in your mark frameworks, especially the fields, subfields T and subfields W. So I'm going to go into my framework. If you don't feel comfortable doing this and you want to ask us, this is obviously something you can put a ticket in for, but I am in the administration in the mark frameworks, and I'm going to hop over to the 776 field. And that is called the additional physical form entry. Then I'm going to go ahead and go to my subfields. Most of those I could see are hidden. So I have the T, and I have that is editable. So that's certainly good. And I have the W. Now the T, both are editable and visible in both the OPAC and the staff side. So the T and the W are very important. And now I'm going to show you that in an actual record. Dear Fahrenheit. If you have any books to read this year, add this to your list. It's amazing. So you can see that my catalog, I have both the book and I have the audio. Now there's a way to link them. So when you realize that the book's out of stock, but you want to see if you have the audio, this is a better way to do it. So here I am, I'm in the book version of my record, and I have this new field called additional physical formats, and this title is clickable. So if I went ahead and click that, it will actually bring me to the audiobook of the item as well. Now this you would set up when you're cataloging items in your catalog. It's going to show up in both the staff side and in the OPAC the same way. And now your question is, how would I do this? So when you catalog maybe that audiobook and you already had a book in stock at your library, I'm going to switch over to the basic. I'm going to go down to the bottom. The T is where you'll put that title, and that's what you actually want to be able to be seen. And then the W is going to be the record control number. So that is the number that's in your 001, and that's going to connect both those items. So it's maybe just 1 or 2 extra steps for your cataloger, but once again, it's great to be able to toggle and say, I don't have that book, but I have it in the large print, or I have the DVD, or I have the Cliff Notes or something, I don't know, or the audiobook. So this now allows both the 776 T and W to be visible in the staff and on the OPAC. So now I should go ahead and show you on the OPAC what it looks like. It's the same. So I'm going to go ahead and open in a new window in the OPAC. This will bring me to that bib record. And I have it again, additional physical formats, and I could go ahead and click this title. It will bring me right to that audiobook. Good question, Debbie. When you delete one of the versions, do you have to manually delete the 776 from the remaining record? If you don't, then it will link them to nothing. They would probably still be able to click it, Debbie, and it would just not go anywhere, because then there would be no records that had that 001 in it. Okay, there was a few new features. Oh wait, sorry, before I rush on, I had 2 more questions. Do you add more 776 for other? Georgette, are you saying, can you add more than 1? Okay, I believe so. Yep. So I'm going to pop back into the MARC record. Let me see, can I add multiple? Nope, I can add multiple of these. So I can add 1 title, and I can see if I go into the frameworks if I could add multiple titles, but it would probably be the same title. You would want to be able to go to different record numbers. So I do have the ability to add multiple record numbers. I'm not sure, or you could duplicate the whole 776. You're right. Thanks, George. And also, I'm not sure if you would do this. Yeah, if you would do this, you would probably do multiple. You wouldn't probably do this, because then you wouldn't know where to go. But yes, you can add multiple 776 fields. Okay, and then I had another question. Is that wrapped in a class so we can modify the look for patron viewing ease? Is that wrapped in a class? I'm not sure, Ed, what you mean by that. Are you talking about XSLT? George, I'm thinking about moving that on the OPAC screen. Okay, type in some more details and I can certainly find out for you, Ed. But I have oh, don't worry about it. Okay, I have 5 minutes and I really want to make sure I get as much as I can of this. We may have to go a little bit longer. Okay, another new feature. Oh, another new feature is if you are adding a new item or possibly editing item within your system, you have now, under your actions here, you now have the ability to print a label. And this is amazing. This takes away 3 steps. If you are using the label creator, if I go ahead and print this label, it will automatically go into a label batch for me. And then from there, I could go ahead and say, I want to print the spine label or I want to print the barcode. So this actually takes away a couple steps. It will go, okay, just send it to my batch, to my label creator in the tools. You don't have to worry about transferring the barcode. You're already in the item and you go ahead and hit under those actions to print that label. So that's a really cool new feature. Another big feature that I think is going to blow some people's minds. If anyone uses the lists feature, you can now add items to lists that don't have barcodes. So you don't actually need a barcode. Oh, we got some JavaScript put in there, or CSS. You don't actually need a barcode of an item to add it to a public or a private list that you have created. Prior to 1711, you would have to have a barcode on an item to add it to a list within Koha. You now have the ability, when I'm in a list, I can add it by biblio number. So prior to 1711, you just had this add items over on the left and it was by barcode. And now you have add items, barcodes, and biblio numbers. So I can go ahead and add a biblio number, 7495. I'm going to go ahead and add that and it will automatically add that in. Oh, sorry, it's already there. You can automatically add an item with just by a biblio number. I do want to say that I know some maybe librarians don't know how to find the biblio number on an item. That's always the biblio number in the URL, as well as if you went over to the mark view of the item, you would see the biblio number here as well. Okay, I have a question. Oh, yes. Okay. Good. So that's pretty fun to be able to add by biblio number. For all those electronic resources you might want to list out, you can certainly now highlight some items you had. This is another really big one. If anyone uses within the tools module, the patron import tool, if you are importing patrons for whatever reason, whether you're an academic library, prior to 1711, through the import tool, you just would go ahead and import those patrons. Now there's a new option that allows you to create a patron list when you import a file of patrons. It automatically creates a list with the file name and a date stamp. So you could go back and see the patrons that you added, or if you needed to further edit those or refer back to it. I always think of like the senior, the freshman, senior, junior lists. Now you have that ability to have those lists separated with that just general click of importing the file in there, and then it will create a list. It will automatically, once you do that, it will bring you, and you can actually see the file that you brought in and the patrons on that list. So I think that's great. While I'm thinking about it, oh, that's really helpful. I know, I think it's helpful too. While I'm thinking about it, we did have a partner email us today and asked to see that the demo site on our Bywater website be upgraded to 1711. So it is now upgraded. The demo site on our website, it is it's now the 1711. I'm getting how much longer? Okay, I have maybe two more big ones, and then I will wrap up because I know it is 5 o'clock on the East Coast time zone. Is there any chance this is coming up for bibs and items loads? Ooh, that would be a good one, Sarah. That'd be really good. We should put that in as a bug, an enhancement. Okay. In the acquisitions module, this is a really big one, and I think a lot of people are going to really appreciate this. Within the acquisition module, prior to the 1711 release, you had the use of a system preference called create items to determine when during the acquisition process for Koha to create the items. So let me go over there and show you that system preference. So here I always had this system preference that Koha said, when would you like me to create this item during this acquisition process? When you place the order, when you receive the order, or when you catalog the record. Now with 1711, you can now choose this per basket. So I'm going to go into the acquisition module. I'm going to create a basket within acquisitions. And here, under orders or standing, I now have that option that I can choose per basket. So it will automatically say, would you like to use the default, which is what's set up in the system preference, or would this be a different type of basket that you may want to wait to create the items when you catalog the record versus when you're placing the order? So this is something that I know a lot of acquisitions librarians really wanted, and it's really awesome that you get to choose per basket when the items are created. Okay. Just looking through my, okay. The next one, I really can't show you, but I do know that this is going to help a lot of libraries. This is probably step 1 or 2 in the fines and fees of Koha. There is a new 1711 enhancement that creates a table for your account offset. This allows libraries to know the entire histories of fees and payments within Koha. Before the 1711 release, you couldn't directly connect fees and payments. So if a person paid $21, but they owed $45, there was no way to connect that they were paying that $21 on a replacement item. Now, this will allow you to know what fees paid for which fines in the account offset table. This data right now is accessible via reports only, and there is another bug in the works that will allow you to see it through the staff intranet, which is bug 2696. I'll put that in, and that's the next phase up. But this new ability will be able for you to accurately represent what fines and fees your patrons had better. So it's not really something I can show you. Reports can be created off the account offset table, and that will give you a better view of those fines and fees. So I think that's going to be really exciting for a lot of the libraries out there, as well as for Bywater and any other support companies that are trying to help libraries find out when somebody owes what and what's it for. So this is something we've been working for, and I'm really happy to see it come into fruition. The last one I did want to touch upon, and this is really exciting, so I'm really glad that at least 76 of you have stuck by to see the very last one. In the administration module, the grand finale, in the circulation and fine rules, we all kind of dread this grid because it is so large, and I know George has done some really great JavaScript to help this. However, we now have an action column right after patron category and item type here versus having to scroll way over. Now you still have the action column over on the far right, but you now also have it right after this item type, which Oh, I got a big thank you, which is huge because you just had to follow that line all the way across, and now you have the ability to go ahead and hit edit right there. There was one more that a lot of libraries had, and I might as well continue talking, and I really have one more to tell you. I know we're out of battery. And there is a blog post on the website now for this, because this other enhancement that is in the 1711 release notes is that processing fee and default replacement cost. So if anyone has any questions or would like the blog post for that, that is on your system now. It came through on the 1705-08 version, but a lot of libraries might not know that that is there, and it's on your site now. And we do have a blog post about using default replacement costs per item type, and also attaching processing fees to item types. Okay, I did have a question. Vicki, you asked me, where is the setup for that? I'm thinking you're talking about the Patron import, because it was right around there, but can you just type in if that's what that is about, and I can go through that again. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to go ahead and type them in. I think that I actually didn't think I'd go to an hour, so I apologize. Oh, it was create items upon receipt. Okay. When you go into acquisitions, Vicki, and you create a basket within your acquisition module, you will see it on the creation of the basket. So here I am, I would need to give it a basket name, and you actually have this, create items when. So that could be determined per basket that you created. So it's not a setting, it's always been a setting in system preferences. So that system preference has not gone away, and that will be considered the default. So you can see my default is placing an order, which is coming from the system preference. If I wanted to change away from the system preference, that's the default, I can choose per basket. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? I feel bad that I'm past 5 o'clock, but we had so many great things. I'm going to go into more. There are more that I didn't touch upon that are, module specific, that I hope you can join me when I go through those, and we can certainly have time for questions on each of the modules. Again, I will record them, and I will add any notes, and I will get to anyone who had any questions. I have Micah about the purchase suggestion. I want to say thank you, everyone, for coming. I had a great time. I'm so happy to show you everything that's coming. Thank you. We're rapidly decreasing our participants, but if anyone has any questions, thanks. Thanks, everybody. I'm so happy that you all came. 99 people is a lot.